Oh, there's elk up there. McDonald's. That's where we're meeting up. Out here looking around for petroglyphs today. It's a little bit windy. Oop. There's one. Right there. Spiral or circle. What do we got? I don't know, but there's glyphs. This is a good spot right between a major ruin and a major river. So I think we're going to see a lot of them. I'm out with a friend of mine today. We get together about once a year and go to places of common interest. So it's fun being out here with him. He's quite an expert. Find some nice painted stuff. That's some nice paint on that side. Oops, sharp edges. This is more sophisticated pottery than petrified wood, perhaps, than a lot of the places I go. Oh, this one, that's a very nice piece. That's a rim piece. You can see the smooth rim. So that's the top of the bowl. Imagine it's a bowl. Painted on both sides. I'm in a more northern part of the state where painted pottery is much more common than down in my normal stomping grounds where it's almost all plain pottery is all I see. I love to find the painted stuff. Beautiful. There's a faint one. Going down to the lower level here. Through the rocks. Nice spot. Well, it's really windy right now, so I'm going to overdub this. Walking toward that face there, which my friend spotted from a distance. And you can see some nice things there, the best ones of the day so far. That's an unusual one. It's got 3 circles, almost look like eyes, in the middle of a rectangle with a sort of a triangular feature on top of it. Not seen anything like that before. This is 2 sort of overlapping circles, but the one on the left may have 2 eyes. It could be a face. I'll be talking a little bit more about Kachina stuff, but it could be one of those. And off to the side, that's obviously a lizard or lizard man with claws and a couple messier things next to it. But looking up there, I can see another face on that face to the right there, the panel to the right, and also a big lizard or lizard man. So go up and see it. Here's the first, I'd say, clear example of what scholars call Kachinas or Katsinas. It actually comes from Hopi culture. These are thought of as masks, and I believe are still used ceremonially today, but they mark a lot of Hopi territory. There's another one up there. I think this area is pretty dense with them. You can see it again, characterized by big round faces, often some extra structure. I believe there's more than 20 different types that have been identified by scholars. I can't tell the difference between them myself. I've not studied it. And here's another one. This one obviously is a couple, little antenna they look like, but they probably are little rabbit ears of some sort. And the round mouth as well. So there's quite a density of these type of glyphs in this area we're looking right now. Up here, my friend pointed out this faint one, which I agree with him. It's probably another example, but again, faded. I can understand how they fade because the wind was blowing so hard, blowing sand. It's like taking sandpaper to everything. We could spot one way up there, and look at that one. It's clearly got a rabbit ears type design. Pretty nice face. It's got even a neck. Just down from it, another couple round ones that have been mainly blasted away. Can't really see the detail. But interesting that between them, if you look closely there, I'll zoom in a little bit to it now, is a reclining Cocapelli type character, a flute player, quite often seen in that position. Another view of this guy. Notice all those little dots around him. That sort of stippling is sort of common too. And this is an interesting one with small dots and big dots.
Looks like wood, but I'll bet that's petrified wood. Yep. Yep, that's a rock. As heavy as a rock. That's some petrified wood. And I just picked this one up. This is a better example because look, you can see the bark actually as well as the wood. That's a very cool piece of petrified wood.
While walking between a couple of these edges looking for petroglyphs, we notice these horses running by, and that's not something I see very often. Beautiful colored horses. I've zoomed in a little bit with the video, so it's probably a little less clear. But I've never seen ones like that before. Pretty sure they're wild horses. They looked at me and eventually took off. When I run into regular domestic horses like these here, they just come for an apple or carrot or something. These horses, here they are again, looking at me from a distance. Beautiful wild horses.
Yep, there's a cross up there I can see that's historic. We're along the river, so we're not too far from the river, so there's been people traveling along here up through modern times. So we'll have a look. Let's see what's up here. Jesus King. Jesus is King. Modern Christian.
Well, the wind was howling, but my friend spotted some petroglyphs up on those rocks, and I was the first one up. And I was just happy to find some petroglyphs. These particular ones were not ones that could be seen from the bottom, but they're the ones I got to first. This one in particular seems interesting. Look at those two arms to either side with fingers or claws on them with, just an amorphous sort of head or body in between. Not a typical sort of thing to run into. But this was started some good petroglyphs. My buddy forgot his camera after he was most of the way up. He went back down. Here's a man on the other side of the rocks. I'm not sure whether that projection on the left is intentional or not. Sometimes you'll see guys who look like almost like they have duck heads, but that's probably not this guy, but that's a pretty well-rendered man. These are actually the figures that he saw from the bottom. He used his telephoto lens to see further than I could see. And these whitish figures, I'm thinking that's lichen. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly makes these figures stand out more from far away. And you see this number of different human figures on this thin patina, which is coming off. And on the same rock, you can see a bunch of older things that have come off. Close-up shows that's a hand. I don't think I can recognize very much more of the figures that were put into this rock. But while I'm looking around, my friend went up on top and he yelled, "There's glyphs up here," and I asked him to do a petroglyph dance, but he declined. Here's some interesting dots. They're not bullet holes. They're obviously pecked by somebody in the past for some reason. I don't think they were making star constellations. I went up on top, and indeed, he was right. There are a lot of glyphs on the flat rock on top. A lot of things that are difficult to interpret. That looks like a sun at the bottom there. That big circle might be the head of a person. It's a little hard to, I'm not going to waste a lot of time trying to interpret them. But this one's very interesting. This is, you can see by the sort of trough around this one, someone tried to cut this one out and luckily gave up before they finished, because that is a really nice rendition of what I would say is a horned toad. And sometimes people steal glyphs in the past, not very often these days, but I'm glad this one was left there. There's some squiggles within a rectangle and some dots, maybe a track to the left of it. Again, there's just so many things here. Circle with antenna that looks like a human figure, if you look at it right. This though really is special. These claws here, they got to be bear claws. There's too many. Those are 6, I think, on each paw. Very well done, and I think that's a thunderbird, what I call a thunderbird. And let's call that a window pane down at the bottom. As you can see, quite a variety of glyphs. Moving over to the side, there's a squiggle with looks like a head on it. Something looks similar to the claws, but not quite a human hand, I would guess, either. Various dots. Oh, there's a bunch of feet there, reminded me of little feet. I think that's Lowell George is the big one. Paul Barrere, Billy Payne, Kenny Gradney. It's an old Little Feet joke. There's a nice rendering there. Not sure what it was. Continue to walk around. A lot of degraded stuff. This one caught my attention. That foot with the crooked toes. My toes are better than that. You can see we're up on the top of the cliff. And here's just some shaded circles. Continuing around, there's a nice human figure there. The head could be gone, but I suspect it's just degraded. Pretty nicely made. And a spiral. This is also, if you look, it's really carefully made. Unfortunately, it's pretty faint. It's also degraded, but a good spiral. Here's another one which starts with sort of a spiral head and turns into a snake or squiggle. This sort of figure is really fairly common. And this one I really like. Look at the claws and look at the long tail. That almost always means mountain lion. If so, the face isn't very good. But I'm wondering if he's actually attacking a person there. And finally, a view off the edge. Well, we came off that hill, continue to look for petroglyphs, and I noticed this pottery here, particularly that big black sherd. Picked up this yellow one first, and it's plain pottery like we'd already seen, but this one is different. Probably blackened on the inside, and this looks to be more like corrugated pottery, which is also fairly common in northern Arizona. You know, I never really have understood the blackening process, obviously related to firing or cooking. It's a very thin piece too, which is surprising because it's so large. But I'm careful with it, put it back. And then as I continued to walk along, I noticed this petroglyph here in the distance, and that's a nice one. So I went over to have a look at it.
It's not very far from that pottery. But look at that. That is a very interesting one. It's very bold. It's big. I'll go put my hand on it so you can see. I can just enjoy it for a minute. I like that petroglyph. There's a lot of that yellow pottery around here, and it popped into my head. Maybe I know what kind that is. I think it might be called Jadito yellowware. Also, just looked down and picked up something that caught my attention. It's sort of attractive rock. It looks like it's been worked a little bit. It looks like it might be a scraper or a cutting tool. Pretty nice. Just notice that one. That's a nice little piece. What is that same one I picked up earlier? A rim piece. Jadito yellow, I think. Very nice. This one over here, well, look at that. That's a nice painted piece. That's a pretty big one. But look at this. That's a different kind. It's almost where I usually am, it would be called salado because it's black and white painted on brown.